Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda has been at the forefront of the wetland conservation to the extent that he has mobilized financing for sector from development partners and also allocation within the government. I would like to thank His Excellency the President for being instrumental in this venture and for his tireless effort. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, while Wetland Day, as already indicated, is an opportunity for us to raise global awareness about the critical importance of wetlands for people and our planet. Wetlands have been referred to as the lifeblood of humanity, and this is quite appropriate because they are a source of fresh water, and we need to take up action to restore them and stop their loss. Madam Speaker, we are facing a growing challenge of availability of fresh water that threatens our very existence. This is mainly because fresh water used by various sectors is not matched by nature's ability to replenish because of the continued encroachment of wetlands. We are destroying the ecosystem of water that all life depends on most, and that is the wetlands. Madam Speaker, wetlands contribute to the quantity and quality of fresh water on our planet by serving as granaries of water through their ability to store water, purify sediments, toxins, and pollutants. Water quality is also maintained as a result. So without wetlands, there is no water, and without water, there is no life. We need to appreciate that water and wetlands are connected in an inseparable coexistence that is vital to life, our well-being, and the health of our planet. In summary, Madam Speaker and honourable colleagues, wetlands store and clean water. Wetlands provides food. For example, inland fisheries alone provided 12 million tons of fish in 2018. Wetlands provide services worth 47 trillion per year, with more than 1 billion people getting their income from the wetlands. 40% of the world species live and breed in the wetlands. For example, our own crested crane, shoebill, sitatunga, and fish. Wetlands protect us from floods and storms, with each acre of wetland absorbing up to 1.5 million gallons of flood water. Wetlands help regulate the climate as a whole. Madam Speaker, as you may see from the few mentioned benefits, we need to join the campaign to save these wetlands, to be able to grant and the future generations these invaluable benefits. I therefore implore you Ugandans to stop destroying wetlands and start restoring them, to manage your waste as well as increase water efficiency by using the wetlands wisely. We have already included some of these interventions into the National Development Plan 3, as well as our Sustainable Development Goal 6, and of course, Vision 2040. Our realization of these commitments requires your urgent support, colleagues, if we are to attain them. Madam Speaker, My Ministry of Water and Environment has already established strategies to address the threat to the wetlands and their ability to provide these benefits. Together with the civil society organizations and government partners, restoration and demarcation of wetlands is ongoing so that we can reverse the trend that will cause water and food insecurity. Other strategies include taking stock of our wetlands. We have caused cancellation of titles, promoting awareness and sensitization, capacity building on wetland conservation strategies, monitoring and enforcement, wetland management planning, and providing alternative economic livelihoods for those who willingly leave the wetlands, or by sometimes opening up fish ponds, which is actually one of the projects we are piloting, Madam Speaker and colleagues. Installation of Ministerial powered irrigation equipment for those who live along the wetland, and this directly answers the vision to create a middle income status in those communities. Madam Speaker, my call is that we need to act now and stop lamenting, because we have a responsibility to conserve the wetlands, whether we benefit directly or indirectly from the wetlands, as mentioned above. In conclusion, I would like to inform you that this year's celebration will focus on publicity through different means. And my call is that be part of this event today and forward. That will be aired on TVs, in the newspapers, and other ICT media. I wish all Ugandans who are struggling to conserve the wetlands and those who are to come on board a good wetland celebration day, and remind you that the wetlands and water is life. Let us all together conserve our wetlands for God and my country. Thank you very much, Minister for Environment. Are there any comments? Yes, Senator Muthigu. Is that Rampara? Okay. And then I'll go Charles Ngaviran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I take this opportunity to thank the Minister for communicating to this country about the need for wetlands and even commemorating Wetland Day. Madam Speaker, I expected to hear from the Minister how she is trying to handle the untouchables and touchables who are destroying wetlands, because it is understood in this country the people who are destroying the wetlands most are the elites, the rich people and the educated. Those people have got the machines even to use in destroying wetlands. They have the money, and the poor people who do not have the money have maintained the wetlands, Madam Speaker. So I expected the Minister to comment on how he is going to handle those people who have totally destroyed the wetlands in Uganda, and they are enjoying that impunity. Madam Speaker, I also want to communicate to this country that every year we lose like half, 0.5%. From 1994 to 2008, the country lost 2% of its wetlands. When NEMA was watching, what does it mean? It means in 40 years, she's talking about vision to 2040. In 40 years, it means we shall have no wetlands. That is the meaning. So we expected the minister to bring out the means she is preparing to make sure that we maintain our wetlands without talking about only policy, because the policies are there, and that's why NEMA is there, the ministry is there. But the moment you talk about a rich person, NEMA hibernates. What does it mean? Maybe they get the kit kidogo. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I want to ask the minister to maybe next time, or whoever she will be, to talk about how she's going to handle those people who have enjoyed impunity for so many years and finishing our wetlands. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Ngabirano.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for the statement, but I want to make a few observations. Right Honourable Speaker, the wetland issue is a very big issue which needs our concerted efforts as government and as leaders. The Minister has told us some of the mechanisms they are putting in place to help us conserve our wetlands, but I want to say that according to her statement, I see a lot of disconnection between the whole cycle. Madam Speaker, wetlands conserve water which they receive, because wetlands don't produce water. Water is produced in the water cycle. Madam Speaker, when it rains in this country, within a short time you see all the water running away. It simply means instead of wetlands receiving water to filter and store, they are actually receiving a lot of mud and runoff because we have not conserved the catchment areas and the hills. Therefore, instead of the water now going into the ground and percolates underneath, all the water is running away, and therefore for us to effectively manage these wetlands, we need to go back and look at the whole water cycle, conserve the catchment areas, plant trees on bare hills so that we can control the runoff and have the water seep and percolate into the aquifers, where we have our wetlands have a reduced burden of managing the available water. Secondly, Madam Speaker, as Parliament, we passed a very good law. Now we have the best law on environment, but Madam Speaker, that law is not being implemented, especially in terms of financing. Honourable Minister, we just passed the budget framework paper last week. We would urge you and implore you to make sure that we work together and make sure that we finance and put a lot of investment into the sector. Wetlands water is the source of life, but the financing levels are still very low. The sensitization is very low. Honourable Minister, when you came here to present your statement, you would see that all of us were not aware that today is Wetlands Day. This would be a very big event. All radios, we should all be aware, but your advocacy is still very low, and therefore the struggle should be increased. Otherwise, our wetlands are being finished. Madam Speaker, my colleague has talked about NEMA and enforcement. There is a wetland in Mbarara called Rucheche. That wetland was dammed. So when they made the Cavalry Road, the road opened up the wetland, and I have personally taken interest to inform the NEMA and the Ministry about the dry wetland, but they cannot respond. When we have made roads, where we see open spaces, when we report to them, the reaction, the response is still very, very low. So Madam Minister, much as you come and tell us to support you, we need your own response even when we inform you. You need to get us together, you need to get many soldiers. You know, Madam Minister, my struggle with tree planting, all the trees These are being harvested prematurely because there is no control. The country, each one is doing what they want. Therefore, let's put our action together, work together, put all our efforts together to ensure that we save our wetlands. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Okay, leader for opposition. Is that am I? Okay, not the masks are a problem. Okay, want to see Azza? Then there. When you close the kefa. Thank you, please, and then over.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I would also like to thank my sister, the Honourable Minister, for the statement made. I am asked to ask a few questions. One is about this heavy farming on the wetland. As you travel to Gulu, there is also in Luero, you get farming on the wetland. And then I see the other one also on Masaka, as you travel to Masaka. Is that okay? Doesn't this kind of farming have some implication on the wetland? And when we talk about wetland, you know, poor people cannot tamper with wetland because they cannot reclaim. Those who reclaim wetland are very, very rich people. So what do we do when these rich people are untouchable? What strategy are you going to put in place to make sure that these rich, very rich people really save our wetland? Without wetland, then we don't have homes for water. It is wetland which is really homes for water. So this is what I would like to know from you, leave alone putting up buildings, but how about farming? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also stand up to thank the Minister for the statement. The whole world is now fighting to protect the environment. Climate change is a big issue now in the whole world. But when it comes to Uganda, we have got good policies and Parliament here passes good laws. But when you get out, there's nothing that is happening on the ground. I happen to live in the eastern part of Kampala, where all the wetlands, in Chambo where the Minister lives, we have a wetland that clears the dirty water and it delivers water to Lake Victoria through Chambogo, but all the wetlands have been destroyed. And when it rains, the water runs anywhere. It has no way now to the Lake Victoria. And the government is looking on. So most of the wetlands have been destroyed by people. And the government is looking on. Until now, your minister comes up to try to protect the wetlands. Climate change is here to cause problems, and you can see the weather now has changed because the wetlands have been destroyed. So when we come here and make statements, we should follow and see what we are doing. When we go to international conferences, the Paris Agreement on climate change, we go and make statements, and when we come back to this country, we don't do anything. So all the wetlands around Kampala are destroyed. And not only in Kampala, you go to Mukono, to Mbarara, all those wetlands are now full of factories. And your ministry has done nothing. So you must go back and find out all these wetlands that have been destroyed. People have put up factories, and you are looking on, and when you come up, it's already too late, and you have spoiled our environment. So these are some of the issues your minister should do, and members should do, protect the environment, protect Ugandans. Otherwise, within a very few years, within a few years, we're going to have problems in this country. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Azza, then Mukhtari, then Jova.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker and my dear colleagues. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for your statement on World Wetlands Day under the theme of wetlands and water. Wetlands and water. Honorable Minister, you talked about the importance of wetlands, such as filtering and saving water, such as providing water for irrigation and farming. They are, for instance, they are home even to the world's aquatic species. They create room for about 200 new fish species and so on and so forth. However, Minister, I don't know how far you have gone with the issue of fencing some of the wetlands, because I can recall there was a program where wetlands are being fenced off. They are being fenced off from the mainland. I don't know how far you have gone with that one. Secondly, what stringent laws do you have? What deterrent laws do you have in order to stop the issue of encroaching on these wetlands? Because it appears enforcement is becoming a very, very, very big problem. We are not adhering to some of these laws, and that's why members have been talking about rich men encroaching on these wetlands. So, Minister, please work on that. I'm still young. Honorable Minister, please, the issue of bush burning, especially in northern Uganda, I don't know how you're going to work on that. Otherwise, right now as I talk, you go to northern Uganda, all the areas around the wetlands has been burnt off by the wildfires. The issue of deforestation, afforestation, and so on and so forth. And lastly, Madam Speaker, the issue of sand mining. Sand mining is encroaching on the wetlands, and as a result, these days even we are reading in the papers that fish is dying at an alarming rate. Fish is dying, and we don't know why fish is dying. So please, Honorable Minister, some of us enjoy fish and we like eating fish, and it is dying. What is causing all this? Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Sorry?
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for bringing this very important commitment of Uganda. But I would like to start from the fact that the Tree Planting Act 2003, which among others is supposed to make sure that the wetlands are protected, among others, with planting trees on the riverbanks, on the lake shores, and the hilltops, is redundant to date. Honorable Speaker, you helped me process a motion here in 2009 with, I think, FEB Florence Ikwao. Mama Vera then was a member of Natural Resources with me. But it was shut down by the Sector Minister that the Cabinet was ready in 2009 to start tree planting. Madam Speaker, I have been urging them to even declare the tree planting trees many times. To date, we have nothing in that direction. I would like to request government commitments should first of all have been in implementing the Tree Planting Act. Now, related with that, there is the National Physical Development Plan, the land use plan of this country. We are struggling with developing cities before we even do the National Physical Development Plan. This is what would inform us what are the go areas and the non-go areas, whether it is by the rich men or the powerful or whatever you are calling the elite. That one, we have avoided it. What helps a country manage its environment is land use. You either have slums or encroachments, it starts from the land use. Honorable Speaker, as a member of Parliament for the Albertine region, in particular Bugungu, where we have suffered floods, Honorable Minister was in your office with both Senior Minister and member Professor Krut sometime in September, October. We have lost 3.5 kilometers of Butiaba Port, which used to connect with the old Masindi Port and Namasagali. It is now underwater. Who is the community? And 1 second, 2 kilometers. Our humble proposal was, if nature has reclaimed
why don't we, in the same spirit of the gazettement, pay us back? We give you the 3.5 kilometers underwater, and you give us you change the buffer zone. So our prayer, Right Honorable Speaker, to the Ministry then, is that in exchange, in the spirit of the gazettement law, nature has taken away from us, give us back the Bugun community and the Ntoroko community and the Nebi community, which are victims, because the Lake Albert is the lowest area in this region, and we cannot, people have on their own moved to that area. One important point, Madam Speaker, the flooding we have faced this time around, Madam Speaker, is beyond the gazetted buffer zone of 200 meters. And we know that we are a member of the upstream of the riparian states of the Nile Basin. What engagement are we having with the Nile Basin countries? Because the water flooding Ulisa is from Tanzania, is from Congo, is from Rwanda, Burundi, is from Kenya, and even is from Ethiopia, Surute, so Karamoja and Kyoga. How can we make sure that to balance this surface water and underground water, we understand holistically the question of the underground water, the wetlands, and the surface water, so that some of us victims can get a permanent solution. I thank you so much.
Honorable Jova Kamateka. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'd like to thank the Minister for the statement and to thank my colleagues who have spoken before me. Honorable Minister, the statement is welcome, but it is too general. It is not responding to the concerns that people have, and actually concerns that you yourself have, having under that name of Mama Mabira. The concerns that you have on preservation of our wetlands. For example, it is not a crime to reclaim part of the wetland for other use. But the reclaiming should be planned in such a way that we have clear water channels that will enable the water to flow. Right now, there is indiscriminate, there is selective implementation of the law. That's why you have colleagues saying that the rich are being allowed to tamper with the wetlands while others are not. But even for those who we allow to tamper with the wetlands, can we have a firm policy that makes sure that they do not block the waterways so that the water flows? Right now, Right Honorable Speaker, the colleague said, we are worried that fish on Lake Victoria is dying and we don't know the cause. But maybe if we had planned reclaiming of these areas and there were proper water channels, we would save our fish. Then the sand mining. Sometime back I remember that we voiced concern about the sand mining in Ruera on Masaka Road. And nothing has been done. If anything, now you find signposts indicating sand for sale. And then it is done in pockets. If it is government policy that investors have been allowed to mine sand in Ruera, well and good, but let it be a planned policy so that people can see in such and such an area there is a clear plan of mining this sand, and then there will be restoration. Actually, restoration is another issue. Once these people have been allowed to mine the sand, can they be tasked to refill the areas? Because right now the Ruera is very dangerous because you have beaches where sand has been mined, and now that we have a lot of water, a lot of rainfall, these beaches have filled up. So people who normally utilize these wetlands for other purposes, it is very dangerous. So we would like, Honorable Minister, that there is a firm policy and clear enforcement of the policy, so that every Ugandan knows that yes, such and such an area is being utilized for such and such a purpose, and it will be restored after that. So to have the proper planning for these wetlands, we may want to reclaim some of them for use, but it should be planned. Thank you very much.
Minister, please first. Minister, you want to say something? Minister of Finance? Okay.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I rise to support the Minister for Environment on this important statement. Just to make two comments. The first one is that wetlands are not only an environmental issue, but an economic issue. Madam Speaker, when we handle them well, we can actually gain a lot in terms of the economy. We are being told that 40% of our rain comes from the wetland. When we had drought in 2018, 2019, our GDP came down by 1%. Actually, in 2019, when we were hit by the drought, our poverty levels came up from 19.1% to 21.4%. So colleagues, as we debate this issue, very important issue, we should also look at the economic aspect of it. And because we know the importance of this, yesterday at Cabinet, we had Honorable Mkitale talking about the tree planting. We passed a facility of $73 million US dollars to help support the sector, and we hope that the members of Parliament will get involved in the tree planting and other areas. There are two aspects of the wetlands. The first category is the wetlands that were actually given out by the colonial government. For example, the wetlands in the Chigezi area. And these areas, there are initiatives to those who are willing to get out of the wetlands voluntarily to be compensated. And the team has been led by the Honorable Stephen Bamanga, and that work is going on. We'll be allocating around 10 to 15 billion to support that effort. I just wanted to let honorable colleagues that actually we are looking at this sector as an important sector that can contribute to the economy, and therefore when time comes, the Parliament should continue supporting us. Information.
Honorable Obol.
Thank you, Mr. Minister, for giving way. Madam Speaker, you recall that you had made an appeal to members of Parliament to initiate nationwide tree planting. That project was started when you hosted the Commonwealth CPC in Uganda, right, Honorable Speaker, when you hosted that event. And it turned out to be a very, very successful initiative to have the guests plant trees wherever they went. And we felt this was a very good message to the country. And the local team, the local leaders, wherever we went, and the schools supported that initiative. Right, Honorable Speaker, now that the Minister of Finance is on the stage, I would want to ask him to allow some small budget for Parliament to carry out that initiative, because I thought it would also help to mobilize the entire country. And I would also like to remind the Speaker, that it was agreed that this project would start from Dokolo. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Madam Speaker, that's the only point I wanted to make with the economic aspect of the wetlands. Thank you.
Kefa, and then the Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to comment on this matter. I just want to say right from the beginning that I support the Minister, and I thank the Minister for very much bringing up this matter. However, Honourable Minister, we had, in considering the budget framework paper, we had a very cordial and friendly discussion with the Ministry of Water and Environment, and one of the areas of serious concern was wetland degradation. And I'm sorry to report, Honourable Minister, that actually the committee noted a reverse performance in this area of wetland protection. And also the matter we are talking about now, very unfortunately, was not mentioned. So we are also, as a committee, we're also learning about it for the first time. But the main point I like to point out, and I'm a bit surprised by what the Minister of Finance was just saying, is that we noted the considerable mismatch between the good intentions of the Ministry of Water and Environment, what they profess with their mouth, and what is really happening in the background around supporting those good intentions. Many of these good things remain unfunded. And I would have expected the Minister actually to point out how much money has been made available for this activity. And I'm surprised by the Minister of Finance, what he has just said, that $73 million. Madam Speaker, I know you've always been passionate about tree planting. We have reallocated the money for tree planting, but the ministry cut it as a non-priority. So it's a bit surprising, this sudden change of heart from 10 billion that you cut to $73 million. And I hope it's not just lip service, but really that will materialize. But I also like to mention, Madam Speaker, that we have often blamed the NEMA, perhaps rightly so. But I need to point out that the budget of NEMA has been considerably cut. Actually, for things like workshops, sensitization that Honorable Ngarirano was talking about, workshops, all those have been cut. The Ministry of Finance saw them as consumptive expenditure, which were non-priority. They are struggling doing the inspection. They are struggling doing the monitoring. And I think if anything is to happen, that's where the real intervention has to start. But also lastly, Madam Speaker, there is a big problem when we are amending the National Environment Act. We tried to strengthen NEMA as a regulatory agency. Yes, they are still trying to do the delivery function bit of it. But I think there is a bit of a gap around what is it that the Director of Environment in the Ministry of Water and Environment, what is it that is actually doing? That is still a mystery. Although it's not much money that is going there. But these are our concerns, and at the heart of it is what really shows that the government is committed to this, which must be backed up by the financial resources allocated to it. Thanks very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, colleagues, for your contribution and support to my statement. You have raised pertinent issues. Most of them are actually not even new. We have been battling up with them. As a ministry, as a government, we appreciate. The issue of untouchable. So many people claim to be untouchable. And Madam Speaker, I need some protection from my colleague. Madam Speaker, these untouchables, I believe that Uganda, there's nobody who is above the law. Nobody is supposed to be above the law. We need to apply our laws. Those who are caught in the action, who have evidence, those Ugandans stand up. Madam Speaker, I've been to this ministry of mine, and we discovered a lot of things, and we're doing a lot as a ministry to ensure enforcement. We've got so many people who have been in the opposition for so long, and it's like they are also part of the untouchables. We have requested to have the enforcement team again reshuffled. I'm happy to note that the UPDF has given us a new team, which I hope we are going to work with very well. We are waiting for the police force to reshuffle the team which has been in the ministry. Some of them have been there for 20 years. Some of them think they know about it too much. So, colleagues, we are already trying to rearrange the enforcement arm so that we catch up with the untouchable. Madam Speaker, I think sometimes back I came to this house when we were talking about the Kayunga issue, and I made a passionate appeal. I think we need environmental courts to help us on the issues of environment, because most of our cases, if it's taken to court, we are talking even of NEMA. We are talking about NFA. You take people run to courts of law, and then the cases are not disposed of. They take about 10 years or so. By the time the law catches up with them, either the forest is gone or the wetland is finished. So, Madam Speaker, this is one of the things I would want that this House consider seriously, and we make our case through courts which can quickly respond to the concern. A colleague has raised the issue of the catchment area. We are indeed concerned. As a ministry, we have already arrangements. We are looking at it in totality, actually. We have different projects to answer for different areas. The catchment area, we have a project running on where we need to protect all the catchment areas. We need to plant trees around it. We need to protect it. That is a different aspect which we are looking at, and I still thank you for raising it. Madam Speaker and honorable members of Parliament, I want to answer this one with the chair of the committee. The issue of funding of environmental activities is still a big challenge, really a big challenge. I really thank you, Chairman of the Natural Resource. You do understand the situation very well. But Madam Speaker, you are also aware that at that time, I also equally made a passionate appeal that if we could be allocated 20 billion per year for 5 years, we would be able to restore some of these forests. We will be able to demarcate and protect some of the wetlands we are talking about. Madam Speaker, this is the second issue I would want this House, and my Minister of Finance is also listening, to have it put in place. Because without funds, then everything's curtailed. And colleagues, you are aware, I'm so passionate about the environment. It pains me. It pains me to see that really the environment is going under my bucket when I'm watching. And I will do what I can with your help so that we make sure we protect our environment. The biggest challenge, the third one, Madam Speaker, we are talking of the big people and untouchable. The big challenge I have, we have politicians, we have colleagues in this house. Madam Speaker, towards the campaign time, we had already arranged as a ministry to demarcate most of the parts along the water bodies. With the floods, it gave us a blessings. Those who had encroached on the land, the flood pushed them aside. And we thought we would go ahead and put our pillars, demarcate them while the floods are still on. Madam Speaker, I was approached by almost all politicians. And the issue was, do you want us to lose an election? Do you want us to lose an election? If my colleagues, others, really, many people came to my office and said, you rather wait until after election, then you can implement that plan of yours. We had even assembled, Madam Speaker, we had assembled a team to go into action. And we got phone calls, and then the police was demobilized. Now that the election is over, now that the elections are over, fellow countrymen, can we move forward and protect our environment? Because if we go dilly-dallying around this, we are not going to go forward. It's not a blame game. We all have a role to play. So, Right Honourable Speaker, First question, Honourable Kamba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to seek a clarification from the Honourable Minister regarding the issue of wetlands. Madam Speaker, I'll take an example of Namutumba. We have seasonal swamps where only the fact that the land for commercial agriculture is not enough for the people of Namutumba, they use the seasonal swamps to grow rice. And locally, they call them everybody. They are not gazetted wetlands, and there are talks of gazetted wetlands, but when the ministry is moving to enforce, instead of prioritizing which wetlands, if degraded would affect the environment, they rush to these seasonal swamps that are not even gazetted. So the clarification I'm seeking, do you look for the easier spots for those that you think are touchable and you leave out the bigger problem? Is it really right for you to be prioritizing seasonal swamps that are not gazetted for evicting those people? Thank you.
Further clarification, Minister.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Another everybody.
Thank you very much, our Minister, for giving me way. Honourable Speaker, we have been in this House, and the matter of wetlands has been discussed before. It came to this floor of the House, and we were informed that there is no atlas indicating which ones are actually the wetlands that should be order to.
Any point of order?
Madam Speaker, our rules provide for a dress code. I can understand the MP representing Bivali. Bivali. But you can't come to Parliament like you are going to Bivali. Is the Honourable Member, Madam Speaker, in order to come to Parliament dressed like he's going to grow rice at Bivali?
Member, I don't think it's a proper African area. No. Sorry. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker and colleagues. Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Minister, you talked about reshuffling of the enforcement, and then you talk about UPDF. You know, sometimes we get scared when you bring in UPDF for enforcement. I thought we have police. You get to know how we suffered with the lakes in trying to control this fishing. Are you going again to involve UPDF in trying to enforce, to do enforcement in environment? I need that clarification. Thank you. Mr. Minister. Right Honourable Speaker, maybe I start with the one of LOP, that we have environmental police we created, but there is a liaison officer from the UPDF. We are talking about those who are being talked about, the UPDF on the lakes. In fact, recently, was it 2 days ago, I read somewhere the people are like calling back the UPDF, can you come back and protect us so that the fish is not depleted? But Madam Speaker, I just wanted to let the LOP know that the UPDF I'm talking about is a liaison officer. The enforcement team is mainly the police officers. But even the police officers, they have stayed there, some for a very long time. We need to have them change often, as you are aware. Madam Speaker, the third issue I wanted to bring to attention of colleagues as a way forward is that as a government, because of the concern of maybe the big people, the construction, the farming and whatever, we have caused the cancellation of some of the titles in the wetlands and even in the forests. We are even continuing to harmonize with the Ministry of Lands to see more of these titles being cancelled. We are taking a legal and normal way so that those who got their titles wrongfully, we cancel them and then we reclaim the area and protect it. Right Honourable Speaker, the colleague talked about fencing off. You have heard my Minister of Finance talk about something about that. It is all about the funds available, and if that loan come to the House, my plea is that colleagues should support it so that we realize what you are already proposing to us. A colleague also brought attention about the bush burning, and majorly northern Uganda, and we brought to my attention that along the wetlands mostly are actually burnt down. Yes, it is a big problem. We need, as you earlier noted, sensitization of our people. People must understand that burning bushes, we are actually destroying the nutrients in the land we are having. We are rendering our land unproductive because the land belongs to all of us. And we must protect it. sorry. We would want to engage even the local government, Madam Speaker and colleagues, that if we could have some bylaws, because the bush burning has become almost traditional in some areas. There must be people to take action as soon as it is done. Because if you are to wait all the way from here, then all the bushes will be burnt. We are going to harmonize that with the local leadership and see if some bylaws could be also passed to reinforce our efforts. A colleague raised the issue of fish dying without people knowing. Madam Speaker and colleagues, we have suffocated our water bodies. We have really suffocated the water bodies with whatever we dump in here. The fish cannot have enough oxygen. We have dumped everything in our lakes and rivers. Please, it is the same plea. Can we protect our water bodies? Can we protect our water bodies? I have earlier in my statement mentioned how we manage our waste. How do we manage it? Let's not really continue to dumping it in our water bodies. A colleague raised the issue of tree planting. Yes, Madam Speaker, I do agree. We had a very ambitious program of 40 million trees planted per year. We had even to plan for one day tree planting day, and many trees should be planted. The COVID, my fellow citizens, has thrown us in this way. Most of some of these things were left hanging. We had already arranged, even the date was already set. My prayer is that God helps us with this bad disease, and we go back to our plan, and then it is ambitious plan. I will come back here, God willing, if I'm still in the docket. That I call upon all of us as leaders, and we go in our respective areas, we plant trees. As a ministry, we have even been able to give out tree seedlings to many of the colleagues around here. We still want to have the funds probably restored, and then we go full blast. The flooding, which helped us reclaim part of it, and what a colleague was saying, it's true that flood did not claim only what belongs to the government. That is the 50 meters. It has gone beyond that. And as a colleague is saying, we are aware as a government. Now, we only claim what is for the government. And if a community comes out, as Honorable Mega is saying, it's a good thing, we can engage into that, and we move forward. Leave alone that we are also thinking about those who are wrongfully attacked by the flood. As a government, we want to also get to that and see if we can help compensate them, those who are willing to let it go, because we must help them to manage the flooded area or to give it back to us. It is a welcome suggestion. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, the sand mining place, by law, when you mine sand, this place we have a law, you must restore. The restoration must be done. The reinforcement must ensure that those are done. Madam Speaker, you are aware that a colleague raised an issue, the similar issue to Chankwaza, where I went, and we followed it up, and it has been done. We would want such things to be reported, because once you do the mining, you must restore by law. We don't need to leave it open because it becomes dangerous, and then we are moving towards harmonizing all this. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I once more thank you and honorable colleagues of Parliament for massive support for our environment and the care, and especially the chair of the Natural Resource Committee. We hope that as a government, when we come back with that already suggested budget, please, colleagues, let's support it and let's move to protect our country, for God and my country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Minister. Just 2 comments. One, you have been talking quite a bit about the environmental court, but it's a matter, I think, which the government should deal with under Article 129 of the Constitution. I don't know whether it would be a subordinate court under Article 129B,
That's not something that the House can move because it will have financial implications. So it's, since the Minister of Justice is also here, we could take the matter to the Cabinet and see whether they can establish an environmental court. I'm sure that the House would support if the matter came here. The second one is that the Minister of Internal Affairs, sometime in October, will to evaluate the situation of the floods from right from Monterocco up to West Nile. We are expected to get a feedback on the impact of those floods. We will still need to see that report so that we can advise the population on what to do. We've just heard that some areas are completely submerged, they are no longer there. So we need to hear from the Ministry of Internal Affairs, who undertook on the floor of this House to do that evaluation. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next item.
Item 4 on the order paper, laying of papers in accordance with Rule 31 of the Rules of Procedure. 4.1. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the financial year ended 30th June 2014.
Can I ask Commissioner Mujike to do the needful?
Chere Sub-County, Serere District.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Chere Sub-County, Serere District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Orio Sub-County, Serere District.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay on table a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Orio Sub-County, Serere District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Pinjire Sub-County, Serere District.
Beg to lay the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of sub-counties in Serere District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Paimol Sub-County, Agago District.
I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Paimol Sub-County, Agago District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Rudara Sub-County, Koboko District.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the sub-county in Koboko District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
East Division, Fort Portal Municipality Council. Municipal Council.
I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the division in Fort Portal Municipal Council for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Chawente Sub-County, Apache District.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Chawente Sub-County, Apache District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Akokoro Sub-County, Apache District.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Akororo Sub-County, Apache District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Busisi Division, Hoima Municipal Council.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay on table a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Busisi Division, Hoima Municipal Council for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Lokopo Sub-County, Napak District.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Rokopo Sub-County, Napak District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Adropoi Sub-County, Ajuman District.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Sub-County in Ajuman District for the year ended 30th June 2014.
Hachwari Sub-County, Kabarore District.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the sub-counties in Kawere District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Ngai Sub-County, Oyam District.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Ngai Sub-County, Oyam District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay. Morem
Sub-County, Abim District.
I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the sub-counties in Abim District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Kabera Maido Sub-County, Kabera Maido District Local Government.
Beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the sub-county in Kabera Maido District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Aleka Sub-County, Oyam District.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the sub-counties in Oyam District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Loriria Sub-County, Kabong District.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the sub-counties in Kabong District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Inomo Sub-County, Apache District.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the sub-counties in Apache District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Kawarakol Sub-County, Kabong District.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Kawarakol Sub-County, Kabong District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Kamion Sub-County, Kabong District.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Kamion Sub-County, Kabong District for the year ended 30th June 2014. I beg to lay.
Among members, all those items under 4.1 will be sent to the committee, Public Accounts Committee, Local Government for perusal and report back.
Item 5.2, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Runga 01, UGA 01, Environmental Chemistry Project, mitigation of hazardous effects of the petroleum industry and other chemical pollutants on the aquatic environment in Uganda, Makerere University, for 36-month period, 1st January 2016 to 31st December 2018.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of UGA 01 Environmental Chemistry Project, mitigation of hazardous effects of petroleum industry and other chemical pollutants on the aquatic environment in Uganda, Makerere University for the 36-month period, 1st January 2016 to 31st December 2018. I beg to lay.
Now, members, that report is sent to the Public Accounts Committee, Commission, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises for perusal and report back.
Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Uganda Petroleum Fund for the 6 months period ended 31st December 2019.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Uganda Petroleum Fund for the 6 months period ended 31st December 2019. I beg to lay.
Now, members, sent to the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government for perusal and report back.
Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited for the year ended 30th June 2020.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited for the financial year ended 30th June 2020. I beg to lay.
Now, members, to send to the Public Accounts Committee, Commission, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises for perusal and report back.
Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Norwegian Program for Capacity Development in Higher Education and Research for Development Funded Projects, Makerere University for the year ended 30th June 2020.
Now, members, sent to the, please present.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a report on the Norwegian Program for Capacity Development in Higher Education and Research for Development, funded projects financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2020. I beg to lay.
Members sent to the committee, Public Accounts Committee, Commission Sector Authorities and State Enterprises to produce and report back.
Item 5.6, Addendum to Supplementary Schedule 4, Financial Year 2020-2021.
Minister of Finance.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay Addendum 1 and 2 to the Supplementary Schedule 4 for the financial year 2020-2021.
Members, they are sent to the Budget Committee for perusal and report back. But before we, Honourable Minister earlier had indicated that there is a petition from the Mackay University Staff Association relating to the harmonization of their pay and should be addressed before we complete this supplementary schedule.
Madam Speaker, I will have to get in touch with the responsible accounting officer so that they formalize the request for a supplementary.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Item 5 on the order paper, bills committee stage. The National Social Security Fund Amendment Bill 2019. Bills committee stage.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members, I raised seeking indulgence on the matter of the clauses that were stood over. These clauses, Honourable Speaker, constitute very sensitive policy matters with very big effect on the national economy and on the plight of the labor force of this country. Cabinet, concerning that, advises the Honourable Speaker to come here and seek indulgence to stand over these clauses so that we do more and further consultations. Honourable Speaker, I'm here to pray that you allow a period of time for my ministry, Ministry of Finance, and other stakeholders to do more consultations and report back to Cabinet. I beg to move.
Honourable members, I think you're not being fair to the House and not being fair to the country, because this matter was here since October. This is now February.
Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Speaker, we apologize for the inability to proceed now, but we want to be thorough. We want to make a law that will address the concerns of each and everybody and protect the national economy and the interests of the workforce.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. These matters that we stood over were basically two. The issue of supervision of the fund and the issue of benefits in terms of the 20% to the members. And from my knowledge and the experience of what is taking place, we have done all the relevant consultations. What now remains is political will. So I don't think there is any more consultation on this matter. What is necessary now is a decision to be taken whether these matters, in whatever direction these go. But otherwise, if we continue trying to assume that there is a consultation, we are trying to drag the House into a situation where the House is standing in the way of this proposal. So I would have thought, Madam Speaker, because even this matter, by the time we stood over, brought a lot of controversies, and all this time we have been patient, hopefully that the Cabinet will come to the conclusion. And there have been a lot of options and proposals that have been generated through the two committees. So I will request the Honourable Speaker that it is only wise for the House to proceed and the Cabinet bring their views to the committee of the whole House, and then we can make a final decision on this matter. Otherwise, staying on this, in this way, we just see a probe by the government to kill this bill, given the fact that this House is only having about the 10th Parliament has about 2 to 3 months to end. So it will be like the Cabinet, whoever is pushing this, is intending to have this whole bill abort. Because in order for us to reach this level, like when I was speaking, we have passed through a lot of situations, a lot of discussions, and there are many provisions that we have already passed that are actually even more important than these two. So even if the worst case scenario comes in the committee of the House that these either lost or dropped or whatever, it would be in the best interest of workers for the other provisions that we have already agreed upon. So we are the right Honourable Speaker that you use your wisdom to assist the workers to move forward on this bill. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honourable
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. The Minister does not specify how much time he needs to consult and who he wants to consult. He does not specify what time to return to Cabinet and when he will want to come back to report. May I, Madam Speaker, through you, request the Minister to give us a roadmap. Because, as you have rightly said, Madam Speaker, it is long ago since we last considered this proposal. And any minister who is serious should have finished the consultations long ago. But now that he has demonstrated how unserious he is, can we ask him not to carry Parliament along, to tell us how much time he needs and who he is going to consult and when he will be coming back to Parliament?
Madam Speaker, this matter was exhaustively discussed in this House, and what remained at that time was just the nomenclature, the wording, and we had agreed at that time that the two parties meet and harmonize. That was the only thing which was remaining. So I am just surprised now that they say the thing is going to Cabinet, needs a wider consultation. I don't know where this is now coming from, because I remember that time the senior minister was here and the members. So I want to agree with you that the minister should have even been courteous enough to tell us how long period, if we had to buy his word for, what period does he need? Because we had given you from October up to now. Of course, we know the challenges. I see Bahati, who was there even that time, who agreed doing this. I don't know what he means by his sign language. His sign language. But also, I think our colleagues, especially Honorable Oliomoki, now you can know. The other day you were blaming us here, the House, that it is the Speaker, it is Parliament that is failing. Now you have known where the problem is, and I think that's where we needed to focus our energies. And Honorable Rukutana, you saw what happened to Honorable Oliomoki. I think this could have been part of the reason why what befell him, because he even tried to demonstrate on this podium here, he slept here, but that could not help. But the problem was not his, the problem has now come from your side. if the minister is to be given really some time, he should have specified the time he needs. 1 week would not be very bad if he needs us to be organized. Whatever form, like Honorable Dr. Lemok is saying, whatever way it decided it will take, but let us conclude it and let the matters move. Because those two issues should not really drag us for another very long time. We needed to complete this, and it should be done in this parliament. We don't have to push it to the next parliament. I know Bahati would be interested in pushing it to overlap such that they can use the gymnastics is followed for us to again start afresh, and which will not be an easy thing. So, now Speaker, I think this something should be done and done now.
Okay, honourable members, actually I had miscalculated. The last time we considered this matter was 17th of September 2020, not even October. And at that time, our instructions were that the committee and the minister harmonize on the areas that were stood over. That was clause 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So the issue of consultations with the cabinet does not arise. We consulted and got the law here. So we shall finish it, and then we can go back and whether it is assented to or not. So we can only give you up to Tuesday next week, unless the chair, can you vote on the harmonization? Did you sit? If you did, we should move on the issue.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, at that sitting, you allowed us to go and harmonize. The minister has not come to our committee, but as a committee we consulted and we harmonized and we were ready to report today. I'm surprised that I've been sitting here and been consulting the staff of the ministry. They did tell me that they are not ready. For us, we are ready to submit. You're also aware that on the issue of midterm access, there was nothing contentious. The area where there is contention is the issue of supervision. And we have also ably prepared ourselves, and maybe as you have already mentioned, the other issues will be sorted out at the time of assenting to the bill. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, yes, it is true that that was the instructions of the House, and what also the Minister for Gender has said is true, that we needed to tighten up some few things to come to the House when we are very organized. Now that the chairperson of the committee actually has confirmed that we have not been able to go to the committee, I think your guidance that we come back on Tuesday, we can use it tomorrow and Thursday and Monday to internal consultations, and then come back on Tuesday with a clear harmonization, rather than moving forward when actually the mover of the bill has some little bit of uncomfort. So your directive, we concede to it and come back on Tuesday.
Today is Tuesday. Yes.
Madam Speaker, time and again, we have said the ministers have been letting us down here. And this is a clear indication. The minister speaks something else and the chairperson speaks something else. So, honorable ministers, you better get serious. We are not moving, we are not serving our people to the best of our ability because you keep absenting yourself from this house. Thank you.
Honourable members, our committee has done a lot of work, the House has done a lot of work. I can only concede to an adjournment up to Thursday. We'll give you tomorrow, just tomorrow to harmonize yourselves. Thursday proceed with the bill. Next item.
Item 6 on the order paper, Bill second reading, the Constitution Amendment Bill 2019.
Right Honorable Speaker, I am standing in for Honorable Wilfred Mwagawa, who is unable to attend Parliament. This bill, Madam Speaker, was presented by the mover for the second reading, and what was awaiting was debate on the bill. Madam Speaker, that's the report I have from the mover, who asked me to stand in for him.
Receive the report? Clerk, did you receive the report of the Wetland Parliamentary? Not yet? So I don't see the chair of Wetland Parliamentary. They're not here. Okay, let's defer that and go to the next item, clerk.
Item 7, bill second reading. The application for conformity assessment bill 2018.
Ministry of Trade. Motion for second reading. Members, this is another of those bills that was on the other paper from September. And on the occasions the matter came up, there was no minister from the Ministry of Trade to move the motion for the second reading. We are back to the same position. The committee is ready. It has been ready since September. So let the matter be reflected on tomorrow's order paper. Prime Minister, please ensure that the Minister of Trade comes to move the motion for second reading of this bill. Next item. But we still have to be dissolved. Read the item so that be answered.
Item 8 on the order paper, bill second reading. The National Curriculum Development Center Amendment Bill 2020.
Minister of Education. Then this is another of the reports that were ready before we went on recess, actually in September. Let it also be reflected in the other paper tomorrow.
Madam Speaker, it's not a ceremony that there is a read of government business. I don't know whether it is in his interest that he comes to read himself when there is no government to transact business. Which minister, being required, we started with a statement on violation of rights. The minister was not here. Went for the second statement, the minister was not here. Why, Madam Speaker, doesn't the read of government business tell us whether today he came to read himself and there is no government is reading?
Prime Minister, you appear to have lost your ministers.
Madam Speaker, I'm not surprised the question, the one who has asked the questions has never been a minister before. Maybe he's soon going to be a minister in order to get experience we need experience, of course. And a leader of government business, work is clear, and I want to always do it. Everybody here must carry his or her cross. So for that, if a colleague thinks I'm going as a leader of business, leader of government business, going to carry a cross of everybody, I think she is mistaken. So everybody will carry his or her cross, and we are going to follow it why they have not come. That is the leader of the business of government, leader of government business.
Procedure.
Yes.
Procedure. Honorable, Right Honorable Speaker, because of the two sides of this parliament bi-camera model, we have the government side and we have the opposition side. And Right Honorable Speaker, for us to do business here smartly and effectively in the interest of the people of Uganda, we make sure that there must be the leader of government business, and that leader of government business must know the business that the government is going to bring on the floor. And it has happened that the clerk to parliament has always given the order paper on time for the leader of government business and the leader of opposition to know what are coming on the order paper and to prepare their team accordingly. Right Honorable Speaker, I would not wish to call my senior to order. But if he wasn't my senior, the most appropriate approach would have been for me to call him to order. But I am just standing here on procedural matter, so that maybe we need to educate ourselves on how to conduct business on the floor of Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm seeing you now. Apart from being the speaker, you are also trying to help the leader of government business, and yet there should be many enough to know who should be doing what on a daily basis. But I'm surprised that the leader of government business would walk to the chamber of parliament and would not know whether his team is there to help him drive the business on the floor of parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like you to clarify us on this, or to clarify this matter to some of us who have not been ministers, so we really don't know how the business is conducted on the other side. So I sympathize with Honorable Semujo, who will soon be in government anyway, but so far he has not been in government, so he can be humiliated by his senior. For that we forgive our senior brother. But Right Honorable Speaker, I would like you to clarify for us on how we can move forward, because tomorrow the leader of government business will come back with the same story, and then we will just be wasting time. And yet there are a number of young people and old like me who have come back really re-energized. We want because Right Honorable Speaker, for 3 months we have done nothing. Now we are all energized. We want to do something before we close this parliament. We want to leave on record that in these 5 years, this is what we have done. There are so many things that we ought to have done, but we were interrupted by the election, which happened to be also so brutal, and it has made it also killed our spirit somehow. But Right Honorable Speaker, can you educate the government side on how to conduct business on the floor of Parliament? I thank you.
Honourable members, I think we are all aware that sittings of cabinet were moved from Wednesday to Monday to enable Parliament to sit without interference on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. So there is no excuse for the ministers not to be here, especially when they have not even taken the trouble to inform the Speaker that they are not coming. This order paper was published last week, and I expected the leader of government business and the entire government take notice of what was coming. But here we are, disabled because of the government and the ministers. So, Prime Minister, we are going to proceed with those matters. What has not been done today will be reflected at tomorrow's order paper. And if your ministers don't come, we shall receive the reports and move and complete the bills in the absence of the ministers. Let's go to the next item.
Item 9 on the order paper. Bill second reading. The Uganda National Examination Board Bill 2020.
Same thing, go to item 10.
Item 10. Motion for reconsideration of the Genetic Engineering Regulatory Bill 2018 as returned by His Excellency the President in accordance with Article 91(3)(b) of the Constitution and Rule 142 of the Rules of Procedure.
Again, the Minister of Science and Technology is not here. Proceed the next item.
Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources on the petition by landlords, Bibanja owners, artisanal miners, gold traders, and other service providers in the mining camps of Mubende district over unlawful evictions.
Honorable Chair of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now, I'm ready to proceed, Madam Speaker. But just to mention, there are two reports that we've previously presented. Okay, one was on the Tibea project, the sub-counter project. You had promised that we'll have a discussion on that at a later stage. The Minister didn't give a response on that one, just so that we don't lose it on the way. Now, Madam Speaker, specifically on this one, which is on item 11, we agreed that we'll discuss that in conjunction with another report that we presented on the eviction of artisanal miners from the wage. And you remember that was not also discussed. And Madam Speaker, as I mentioned, virtually this is just to bring to a formal closure our handling of the petition of the artisanal miners of Mubende. But they had themselves requested that the matter is closed. But allow me, Madam Speaker, before I delve into this one, just to offer a recap on the key issues that were raised in the wage report, which we should be bearing in mind as we go into this one. Now, in that report, Madam Speaker, and this has been uploaded, the one of Mbende has been uploaded on our iPads for a while now. In that report on eviction of artisanal miners of Uweju, Madam Speaker, we noted that this extractive sector presents immense opportunities, which if properly harnessed, present incredible opportunities of spurring the country's economic growth, employment, technological transfer, and a great potential of generating economic revenue. However, that for a long time now, artisan and small-scale miners have remained unrecognized and unregulated. 2. We also noted that licenses on large swathes of areas mining areas are being issued to cold investors in quote, who in most cases are speculators to the exclusion of the local people. Thirdly, we noted contradictions in government policies that it is registering, for instance, and this is just as an example, that it is registering and formalizing artisanal miners, formalizing the activities of artisanal miners, while on the other hand, it is evicting them. I think it is a big question there of how are you going to get them when you are actually, on the contrary, dispersing them. Then there is also a point we noted, eviction of artisan and small-scale miners, allegedly because A, they use hazardous chemicals and environmental degradation. B, that artisan and small-scale miners are inhibiting exploration activities. And C, that they undertake environmental degradation where they don't restore what they have degraded. However, government is acting and we noted that government is acting in complete disregard of the law. There is also a problem of speculators being preferred and protected by the system against the artisan and small-scale miners. For instance, their licenses in most cases are prioritized. Two, while their licenses are prioritized, their licenses are in most cases inactive. Where they are active, they tend to be breaching their licenses, e.g. actively mining using the exploration licenses, which actually wouldn't allow them to do the active mining. We also noted that Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development has turned a blind eye, blaming it on weak monitoring systems to these vices. Within this, we also noted that it was surprising that the Mineral Protection Police Unit is actively assisting the investors. And actually, Madam Speaker, you recall that actually we mentioned in our report that the Mineral Police has become a law unto itself, not fitting within the police structure, not reporting to the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. They have their own reporting mechanism, which we couldn't understand. And they are keen on protecting the investors. In some instances, the Mineral Protection Unit was being referred to as a mining police. And of course, there was a serious issue of violation of human rights and the issue of archaic mining laws, whereby we've been pleading to the ministry to bring to Parliament the mining bill, but as it remains elusive. Now that's with the Buhwaji report, which brings into focus the issues which are also picking up in this report on Mubende. Now, Madam Speaker, specifically on the Mubende, artisan and small-scale miner is a large and important part of the Uganda's economy, employing over 400,000 youth, indirectly sustains over 2 million Ugandans through the various supply chains. Specifically in Mubende, 25,000 people are directly involved in mining, where 35,000 are also indirectly involved, where 10,000 are women and 45,000 are youth. And over a number of years, the mining camps where the artisan and small-scale miners were based had grown into very prosperous centers with shops, clinics, hotels, garages, car washing bays, metal fabrication, and a variety of other services, in total directly and indirectly engaging over 60,000 people. The ASMs were contributing some form of royalty to the local authorities and enjoying good working relationship with local authorities, and the concentration of large numbers of people was providing market to the local farmers and helping to improve the farm gate prices. However, whereas the ASMs owned the land, either as landowners or as Bibanja owners, they had the surface, in most cases they had the surface rights, but did not have the mining rights. Their applications for mining rights seem to have been deliberately frustrated by the ministry. On the contrary, large swathes of land issued to investors often under very controversial circumstances. Now, let's pick one of them. One of them, which was of great interest to us, because this is from the mining area of this investor, that the artisanal and small-scale miners had been evicted in 2017, is the AUC Mining Uganda. But this company has changed its name about 4 or 5 times. Not sure what it is known now as we report, because they keep changing their name whenever they are applying for license. But when we last heard about them, it had changed to something like Caracas. Now, this particular company had in total an allocation of 414 square miles, combining the number of licenses. And according to the Minister, Energy and Mineral Development, following airborne surveys that ended in 2012, there was a large influx of artisanal and small-scale miners to the exploration areas of AUC, and the majority of these settled in the license of AUC. Now, there was a meeting that was held in the President's office with the President, and this was attended by Honorable Benab Gembe, Honorable Peter Rokeris, Honorable Evelyn Anite, and Honorable Patrick Nsamba. And in that meeting, the President was convinced that actually the artisanal and small miners were somehow preventing AUC from undertaking the exploration activity. But it should be noted that actually all their licenses are redundant. And asked why actually the licenses are redundant, why they are not carrying out any mining activity, they said that they first wanted to clear the artisanal miners from this specific area so that they have a large area where they can thereafter undertake mining activity at a very big scale. I think the Minister is here and she will agree with me or dispute what I'm saying. But that's what they told us in the committee. Now, the subsequent to the President arguing that actually these people can be evicted, the artisanal miners were evicted, and very, very forcefully so. Actually, they were given, about 60,000 miners were given only 2 hours to disappear, to get away from that mining area where they were based. Now, after eviction, of course, Dr. Bukenya brought the matter to Parliament, and as we were beginning to hear the petition, on the 6th of April 2018, His Excellency the President again convened another meeting, and he heard the story of the artisanal miners, and following the explanation of what was happening, he argued that actually the artisanal and small-scale miners should be given 10 square kilometers where they can undertake their activity. And unfortunately, the area that they were given was barren. It was not a minerable area. So, Madam Speaker, 2 things happened. As Honorable Mujuke when Honorable Mujuke presented the petition for the people of Buweju, he directed that even this matter should be redirected, should be revisited, and how we came to taking it up. But in our first meeting, when we called them, they said that actually their petition had been overtaken by events. One is that they had been given another area, although that area was not minerable, and now their prayer was that the ministry should give them an area, at least 1 square kilometer, which is minerable. Of course, they also had other concern. That one is that the committee recommends timely and adequate compensation for the victims of torture, theft, robbery, extortion that happened during broad daylight of 4th of August. This is when they were evicted. And 2, that the committee urges the ministry, works with the ministry to fast track the mining bill 2019. okay, and of course also the issue of concern around the human rights violation. Now, as I conclude, in handling this, we try to see how best we can reach an amicable settlement between the ministry and the artisan and small-scale miner, and I'm glad that we've had a positive development on that. So we took a very facilitative approach. Now, just as we were concluding on the matter, just before we reported, we had a letter a letter from the Artisanal miner, the group that was leading on this petition, Movende United Miners Assembly, and they said, Moma leadership, in consultation with the senior technical staff at the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, have finally agreed on the 1 square kilometer working area to be carved out of the former EL 1093, that's the AUC exploration license. This is therefore to request you to work with the ministry to end this matter so that the petition can be withdrawn. Now, that letter is attached and I'll be laying it on table. On page 9 of the report, of course, the other issue was about the human right, which I think is not denied because the people were forcefully evicted, they lost all their property, they evicted from their land. Some of them had land titles, others had vivanja. There is no reference to the land law, to the land law and the need for compensation at all. They just evicted them. On that one, the committee condemns in the strongest terms the manner in which, that's on page 10, the manner in which the evictions were carried out. The committee therefore recommends and urges government to desist from the use of excessive force when dealing with the populace, as this amounts to gross violation of human rights. The committee further recommends that in the future, government makes use of existing legal framework during the execution of its duties. The committee also recommends that the role of all those involved in violating the rights of the miners during and after the evictions should be investigated, and if found guilty, should be prosecuted in the courts of law. And at the heart of this, Madam Speaker, mainly is the Mineral Protection Police Unit. Then the other recommendation is the trend of evictions, which at one point in time the ministry argued that actually they are now doing eviction to formalize the artisan and small, to formalize the mining sector. But then at a later point in time the ministry denied that actually it did not evict these people. So we recommend that the government desist from using excessive force during the execution of these duties and uses the existing legal framework. The committee further recommends and urges government to fast-track sensitization, registration and regularization of artisan and small-scale miners, and this will go a long way in formalizing their activities. The committee further recommends that government halts all the impending evictions across the country as it embarks on the sensitization campaign of artisanal miners to have their activities legalized. And then also on the issue of limited recognition of artisanal miners on page 11, the committee further reiterates its recommendation that the government fast-tracks the sensitization, registration and regularization of small-scale artisanal miners throughout the country in order for them to be able to easily access government programs and incentives geared towards the mining sector. On the Mining Act, which, Madam Speaker, we've actually been talking about this since the beginning of this Parliament, and I understand from senior colleagues that actually they talked about it even in the 9th Parliament, and there are being promises coming. We now understand most of it has been agreed. but we don't understand why it has not been presented to Parliament. So we again would like to urge the Ministry to expeditiously table in the House the amended Minos Bill. With that, Madam Speaker, I thank you very much for allowing me to present this report. I now beg to lay on table the report, the letter from the President, minutes of the meetings that we had, original petition, the revised petition, submissions by the Minister of Energy, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, and submissions of the petitioners, and the final letter that we had from the petitioners withdrawing, in effect withdrawing their petition. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and members of the Committee of Environment and Natural Resources for both your reports on the artisanal miners. Any comments from the members? Honorable Mejuke.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the Chair of the Committee for the good reports. Madam Speaker, in the report, it was clearly observed that the Mineral Protection Police Unit is an illegal force. In the way it was created, the way it is operating, and therefore, legally, it does not exist. I then would really want to suggest that if it doesn't exist legally, then it should be disbanded, because in the report it is very clear that legally the Mineral Protection Police Unit doesn't exist legally. 2, following the visit by the committee to Buhweju, the interaction between the Artisanal miners and the communities, and of course this report which was brought to Parliament, we want to thank you, Madam Speaker. Also want to thank the committee, because the Artisanal miners of Buhweju have finally been given a license, and it was because of this intervention. However, even when they have the license, the Mineral Protection Police Unit has not left the mines. They have remained. They are not only mining, but also extorting money from the public. So we want to ask for your intervention now that the communities have secured the license and they cannot mine because the Police Protection Unit has remained in Buhweju, extorting money and harassing the people of Buhweju. Finally, we are concerned about compensation. The ministry said they did not evict people in Buhweju, and this is what is in the report. When the Police Protection Unit visited, I think they were interacting with the committee, and it's also in the report. They said they never evicted people, they only came and people ran away on just seeing police coming. The ministry said they were not aware of the eviction. However, people's properties were destroyed, and therefore would want our people compensated, those who were assaulted, those who were beaten, but also the properties that were destroyed. Otherwise, I want to thank the committee for the good report, and I want to thank you, Madam Speaker, for having received our petition and sent a committee to Uweju that has resulted into our people getting a license, although police has refused to leave. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Can we hear from Honorable Songa?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. First of all, I want to also take this opportunity to thank the chair of the committee and the members for the report and the observations. A few days ago, I had been talking about our mineral sector. It is a factor that can power our economy if it is well developed, well streamlined. And we will not need to borrow a lot of money at high interest rate from other bodies if only we can develop our mineral sector. I want to thank for the good observation. The chair talked of the work being carried, ignoring small-scale miners and the local people. This is not only limited to Buweju and Mubende. Much as this petition is withdrawn, I see a possibility that more petitions are going to come if this issue is not addressed. Because even the people who are mining these minerals, they go straight to the mining areas without alerting the local community. A case in point, along the river Ora in Zombo, in a place called Azi in Zombo also, they are mining gold and nickel. The LCs are not even aware of what is going on. So these issues must be carried with the knowledge of the local community. Then the Mineral Protection Police. Earlier on today we had been talking about the Environmental Protection Police. The Mineral Protection Police, part of their work is also to ensure that the environment is protected. And mineral or mining can pose a great risk to the environment. First of all, to the people who are depending on rivers or water bodies that are in mineral areas can get polluted, and it is a big conflict. In many countries, it has caused a big conflict between the miners and the population. But in the Environment Act, which we reviewed, we talked about the Environmental Protection Police. But in that law, we said this Environmental Protection Police should not be from the regular police force, because if I'm a member of the Environmental Protection Police and I'm working in Buweju or Mubende, and I get someone who is going against the law, and my boss is in Kampala, maybe the IGP or the deputy IGP calls me, it will be impossible to disobey him. So in the law we said this Environmental Protection Police should be recruited by NEMA but trained by UPDF or Uganda Police Force, and they should report to NEMA. I think that is what we said in the law. Then the issue of review of the mining policy. This is very important. It will help us to streamline the mining business in Uganda so that we can generate a lot of money from this mining activity. It will also help us to be at par with the global requirements of traceability, mineral traceability. At the moment, we cannot label our mineral, and countries that are buying minerals from Uganda, they want to know where does the mineral come from. This is in line. I have been reading recently a report on Buweju, a Global Witness, where the Global Witness is looking at people who are mining natural resources to cause further human rights abuses around the world, in Congo and other places. But they specifically single Buweju, where some mining activities were going on with some abuses. So, and also, importantly, Uganda is now a member, the minister may clarify, of the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. So anything going in the mineral sector should be in the most transparent manner. So if these issues can be addressed, I think it will help. But finally, the people who are mining these minerals, they
possibly don't have alternative livelihoods. We could also explore options of giving them alternative livelihoods so that they may not do the rudimentary work. We can go in an organized way so that the mineral sector can give us good revenue. Or the small-scale miners can be grouped so that they can generate capital, that they can do a large-scale activity in the mineral sector. I want to thank the committee. I want to thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the time. Thank you.
Can I look at the Minister of Minerals?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the committee for their report, and just to indicate that the minerals sector, as we all know, if well organized, Right Honourable Speaker, could actually help us in dealing with the unemployment, but also would help this would help us as government to generate more revenue than we are actually getting from the other sectors today. And this, Right Honourable Speaker, is our focus as the new political leaders in this sector. Right Honourable Speaker, I took time to also go through these issues. The people who actually petitioned Parliament, the November United Miners Association, first interfaced and brought their issues to me. And Right Honourable Speaker, it is not true that we were just seated back, but there were challenges with the President's directive, and it needed a legal advice, because when these people were evicted, His Excellency the President had actually asked that they be given 30% of the original mining area, but also that we should give at least 3 years extension to this company AUC to compensate for the lost time. And of course the 3 years that we were giving them was outside the legal provisions in the Mining Act 2003, because the Act only talks about an exploration license being given for 7 years. And if we would add the 3 years, it was going outside the 7 years. Following the legal guidance that we received, the Ministry then went ahead to get a win-win situation for both the investor and the petitioners, who are the Mbende United Miners Association. And following that, Right Honourable Speaker, we've since given 1 square mile to Numa, and they're actually happy. And this is in addition to what had been given to them before, where they had actually stated that there was no gold. But actually there is gold there. The only challenge, Right Honourable Speaker, is that these are artisanal miners, and therefore they don't have the resources to invest in the equipment that is needed to actually do the exploration work and eventually mine this gold. So, Right Honourable Speaker, the sector is also constrained in terms of resources. The human resource, Right Honourable Speaker, is a challenge to us, and therefore we cannot really police or do our monitoring effectively because of this human resource challenge. But the other challenge that has been mentioned that I want to agree with, Right Honourable Speaker, we are aware that the Minerals Protection Police has been a challenge for us. They are supposed to work under us and work and get directives from us, but the reverse has actually been true. And we hope that His Excellency the President will be able to handle this matter, because you have been hearing some of the exchanges, even when as a sector, political head of this sector, I give directives, they have actually been ignored. But in a meeting that His Excellency the President convened between the Minerals Protection Police, myself, and the Inspector General of Police, he was actually surprised at what he was speaking, because he thought that this police was supposed to actually help the ministry, help the sector deal with illegal mining, but the reverse seemed to have been true. So that matter hopefully will be handled. And Right Honourable Speaker, I also want to state that we have just not been sitting on the mining bill 2020. We actually presented this bill to Cabinet. I think it was late November or early December, I don't quite remember, but we could not conclude it because our Cabinet felt it was a matter that should be handled when we are done with the elections, since most of the members were not quite keen. So we hope that anytime soon we should have this bill presented before Cabinet again and concluded, and then we shall be able to bring it to the House. So briefly, Right Honourable Speaker, that is what I can state. But we need to have a fine arm in dealing with illegal mining in this country. Some of the people you are calling artisanal miners, some, I'm not saying all, some of the artisanal miners, Right Honourable Speaker, that sometimes people are or speak for, are actually illegal miners. Somebody does exploration, and once these people know that there is gold in place X, they actually go and invade. For instance, the chair and the committee is aware of the challenge that we've been having in Kisita. We have a person who did the exploration and concluded, got the mining license, and at the end of the day, even as we speak now, Right Honourable Speaker, people have gone over 10,000 and invaded this place, and they are armed. Some even walked to my office and told me, let's see what you can do. They are armed. They are protected by some people who are actually armed in this country. So it is a challenge, Right Honourable Speaker. We have to slowly by slowly work together to see to it that we bring order in this sector and we get rid of some of these that you are calling artisanal miners who are actually doing mining illegally in licensed areas. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Along that line of small arms and retarding the work, some time back money was allocated to do aerial survey to complete the 20% of the aerial survey in Karamoja. Was it done, or if it was not done, where did the money go? Thank you.
Honourable Cooper.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've only got concerned from the statement the minister has made. And now that the General is here, the leader of government business, if we could be of help to us, since some of us have not been in cabinet, for you who has been in cabinet now should be able to help us at that level. The Honourable Minister, State for Energy, Minerals and Energy, has just stated that the people who are dealing in this are highly well connected with the people in the system, in the government. And the Prime Minister, can you help us now that the Minister is lamenting? How can we be able to deal with this situation? For people, the Minister is trying to enforce what you agree as government, as cabinet, but there are people, because they are highly connected. I don't think they are more connected than you, the General Moses Ali. Can you tell us what is happening in order to solve this problem? How can we be, what's the best way for us to solve the problem? You have heard from the report, you have heard from the members who have come, the minister is lamenting. Can you tell this country that you are in charge and we solve this matter once for all? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other comments?